Welcome back to the Student Music Network. This is Corey here, alumni of Pure FM and the Student Radio Association, back with another interview. I am delighted to announce our very special guest. You may know them from competing on season 12 of RuPaul's Drag Race. You may know them from hosting Drag Race France, or you may know them from their amazing drag career and music career outside of the show that we will be discussing today. They have released their EP Apollo Artemis and have a deluxe version of the album coming next year. I'm delighted to announce our very special guest, Nicky Doll. Nicky, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm loving that you're plugging your music in the background. I can see you've got one of your song titles behind you.
Yes, so technically people know me as her when I'm performing and doing music videos. Since it is him right now, which is like
Mhm.
the human being paying the rent and writing the music, I
Yeah.
decided to have her in the background, which
And
is like
shall
the music video of Phone Sex.
and shall I call you Nicky, or would you prefer to be
You can
called
call me
by?
Nikki, for sure. Yeah.
So, with your new EP and album coming and out, and all your songs and everything, how does it feel to have new music out, and what's the reaction been like?
Very exciting. Obviously, when you are a drag artist, you're known for, your stage presence or like club performances and not really for your musical print. And music has always been my number one passion. So I'm really happy to have been able to merge both of my passions together. It was definitely a vulnerable thing to do, but people have been receiving it really well, and I'm really excited to present things that I've been working on for years now.
That actually brings me perfectly into one of my first questions, which was talk to me a little bit about your musical background, because it seems as though a lot of queens from the show have been releasing music of all kinds. We've got Trixie doing country, we've got Katya taking the more comedic route. Tell me a little bit more about you and the musical background before all the drag career and everything.
Well, the funny thing is, initially when I was doing music, I had no real knowledge of what drag was per se. So I never really dived into like what drag music is. Like I feel like a lot of drag queens are doing music, but it's more of like a subgenre of what pop music can be. I was really into pop music, mainstream pop music, and I've always loved singing live and having, usually I used to have a band that I will not say the name, so you can't really dive into it. But I loved doing covers of songs and doing like my own jazzy twist about it. But I've always had a dream to like create my own narrative, my own songs, my own point of view. And my album is really just like a love letter to pop in all of its complexity. It can go to like very disco and pool party kind of music to like really dark and electro and Berghain 3 a.m. in Berlin kind of vibe. And I really wanted to present all of that into one album.
It really seems that you have quite the range of songs, like, as you've described. It really shows that you like to explore, a spectrum of music, which is great because it means that you're appealing to a lot of different people. Would you
Mhm.
say, just from going what you were saying about recording a lot of covers, would you say that you did that while you were trying to find your sound and find your voice and maybe got yourself out there using covers while you used the time to write your own stuff?
Yeah, to be honest, I think I started focusing on doing covers because I didn't really have the confidence to allow myself to think that I could be creating original things. It was also just a financial perspective. In the beginning, I didn't really know the industry or knew who to work with or even have the income to start building that project. So to be able to do covers, and I did release some. I've done like a jazzy version of Doncha or Toxic that are available for stream, was a way for me to dive into it, to challenge my creativity and myself, and then allow myself to say, okay, I think we have the shoulders to create something from scratch and stamp our name on it. So it was the first step for sure, which I'm really proud of. I used to tour with a show called CoverGirl, which was merging fashion and covers and then having a band, and that was a way for me to put one foot after the other and allowing myself to say, look, okay, I think I can try to go a step further and really just sing my own songs. But it was a scary move in the beginning.
I can imagine it is quite scary because when you're doing originals, there's that extra level of vulnerability. You're putting yourself out there on the line. It's not just your voice anymore, it's your lyrics and all the meanings that you put into it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was reading somewhere that your name, Nicky Doll, is a tribute to Nicki Minaj. Is that correct?
Yes, so I chose Nikki because I wanted it was kind of like a marketing plan. I wanted something that was easy to remember. And then I was relating a lot to Nicki Minaj with her way of creating basically her own drag. She had a drag persona that was inspired a lot with like Japanese very pop references and the Barbie doll, from the 80s, merging it together. And I wanted Nicky Doll to be a name, an umbrella that was allowing me to represent a lot of different dolls because I can have a very BDSM, dark, more phone sexy vibe, but I can also have, like the Disney princess kind of vibe. So like I wanted to be able to have a name that allows me to showcase all of these different faces that I can showcase.
And just like a Polly Pocket doll, when you can change the outfits and change the hair, you can change yourself in many ways as well.
Exactly. And I love to change my heads and my outfits.
Obviously, it's been a while since you competed on Drag Race, but the very first judge that you were faced with guest-wise was Nicki Minaj, and you
It
did
was.
perform in front of her in the track that you performed with the other queens. Obviously, you're up there for a very long time, and there's a lot of deliberations and critiques that the judges give that probably don't get aired. Was there any advice that she gave you, or anything that she said to you that wasn't aired that you still carry with you now, and anything that you still go by and have learned from?
Well, first, she said right away from the get-go that I was the prettiest one on the stage. She even said to, I think at the time it was Jackie Cox, she even said to her to look to her left, which was me, and look at the way my makeup was not moving, even though we performed that performance 3 times back to back. But she also said to me, because she saw that I was a little, insecure, or it was a lot because I was just fresh off the boat from France, was competing in English, and she said to never question my star power because without knowing my backstory or who I was, she was captivated by what she was seeing. And I decided to just, internalize this and apply it every time I was self-doubting. So yeah. I was happy to be able to see her. It was a great first episode for me. I was really happy.
A dream come true, I can imagine. Considering that Drag Race was 5 years ago, 2020, it aired during
Yeah,
COVID, it's been quite the half decade for you. You know, you've been hosting the French franchise, you've carried the Olympic torch. And in terms of all of that, in terms of your music, in terms of your drag, in terms of anything, what would you say in terms of personal development is one of the biggest positive changes that you've seen in yourself?
that's a great question. I think COVID definitely helped me to find my groove without having the stress of thinking that I should, work really fast. It was allowing us to like be at home and rethink our, lives and choices. But I think since that drag race, it was just allowing myself to believe that all of the things that I was putting on when I was in drag was available to me at all time. And so the superhero that Nicky Doll can be, Carl can really use all of that into his everyday life. And I think because I've gained so much confidence as a man, it allowed me to also write and create and have the audacity to create my own music project because before I don't think Carl would have believed in himself as much to be able to write all of that. And understanding that Nikki is just the vessel for Carl to shine was really the thing that allowed me to blossom in the last 5 years.
And I suppose it's a nice trade-off as well, because in the same way that you're saying that Nikki allows Carl to shine, as by you growing as yourself out of drag, you're also helping Nikki shine more because you're more confident in yourself and therefore more confident as Nikki.
Exactly. And it sounds like it sounds like a bipolar disorder, and I promise it's not, but it's really kind of like a cathartic thing because you really discover how you can navigate all of the different energies that you have inside of you. And some people will, express it through a different art form. Drag really allows you to tap into your femininity and understand how you can be an even more complete human being to use all of the energies that you have inside of you instead of trying to suppress some of them because society tells you to. So I just feel more free and more punk and always raising my very glamorous middle finger to society by just being who I am, as imperfect as people can see it is.
Moving away from Drag Race and more towards your music, then, you mentioned before about having a band and things like this,
Yep.
and about singing live. Would you say that coming from a French background, being French originally, is there more of a singing live culture in France? I feel that in the UK, singing live is much more of a thing than lip syncing. Obviously, lip syncing has its place, and in the US, I feel from the research I've done, it seems that obviously singing live is also a thing, but lip syncing is much more of a US thing than it is a UK thing. Where does France sit in the remit of that?
That's a very good question. I think that the UK and France are very similar in that way because lip sync was not really a cultural thing back in the days. Of course, Drag Race brought it to the front stage, but we are definitely more of a burlesque and cabaret background. It's a lot of live singing, a lot of different way of expressing your art on stage. But to be honest, like my musical background does not really come from how I used to perform in drag because I used to like sing live as a boy before I even start putting a wig on. So I've just adjusted how to be a singer on stage and just doing it with a corset and a lipstick and a gloss and all of the 50 other things that I'm putting on. But we definitely have more live singing than in the US, I would say.
And if my research is correct, your mother is Spanish, is that right?
My mom has a Spanish background. Yes, wow.
Would you say that you incorporate some of those Spanish influences into your music as well?
Not yet, but that is definitely something that I want to. The first album, the first EP is definitely something where I wanted to pay homage to pop because and all of the references that had allowed me to have a career as a drag artist when I was using other people's voices and I was putting my own point of view and twist to their songs. Now I think I accumulated enough knowledge of what I wanted as a pop star to be able to do it to my own project. But I think I definitely want to tap more into my cultural backgrounds in the future, for sure. But we have so many great Spanish singer that it's really hard. Like we have Rosalia right now with with Lux. It's like who am I to like go and try to tap into that? She's so good at doing it. But I will at some point. I definitely will at some point.
And so, Apollo Artemis, tell me then, what were the main roots of inspiration for the album, and what's one thing that you would want fans to take away from it when they listen to it?
I think Apollo Artemis was a way to really gather all of the things that makes me me. I'm a very big nerd at heart. I love video games and I love anime, but I also love Greek mythology. This was something that back in the day when I was too young for having a PlayStation and old enough to be able to read books, Greek mythology was really something that I was obsessed with because it was the first soap opera I could think of, you know? And so I wanted to be able to tap into using a term that could describe my gender identity and my energies. And also to express the different kind of genre of pop I was going to explore. And so Apollo and Artemis are the two twins from the Greek mythology. One is the god of the sun and beauty, the other one is the goddess of the moon and hunt. And so it was a way to express that I could be both a masculine and a feminine energy, but also that my pop could also be as uplifting and fun and joyful or dangerous and sexy or introspective. So Apple and Artemis kind of like encapsulate all of that at once.
And it works really well together as well. And I really like what you say about touching on your gender identity and about encompassing all of those themes. I was going to ask, you've released some really cool music videos. Your I Had a Dream music video was really cool with all the art and the colors in the background. I
Thank
could
you.
see that we don't have a music video for How Do I Look yet.
Yes.
What are you, if you can imagine in your head that you're directing your own music video right now, what's the vibe for it? Would you incorporate all that Greek mythology? Would you go for a bit of a sci-fi theme, a little bit like the one's Flawless, which I know you sample in the song?
So for How Do I Look, I would go way more 90s haute couture or 90s editorial for a magazine. And the way that I was writing this song was like if the supermodel was having a love affair with the photographer, and the photographer shooting her was actually obsessed with her. And so she was just kind of like whispering at him, like, how do I look? And he was just saying flawless, absolutely flawless. So that would be the music video for me. But if I were to go into more of the mythology and sci-fi vibe for one of the songs, it would absolutely be Apollo and Artemis, which is also a song in the album. And I would love to go for this. But I'm a very visual artist and I'm a very strict into what I like. And of course, music videos require a lot of money. And so I decided to focus more on releasing the music, having people listen to it, and also things that I love myself as a fan of pop music is to allow my imagination to think of what the music video could be. So I decided to allow the audience to listen to it and create their own narrative before I start to tap into having a visual print about the songs, because I've done it in the past, and it's fun, but I want to do it with my fans.
That's really interesting, actually, about the letting the viewers imagine their own music video almost in their head and have their own interpretation. I think that's really cool. And I do get what you mean about music videos costing a lot of money, but I think that photographer model idea sounds perfect, low budget, but also a storyline. I can see it.
It might be in the making already. We'll see.
We'll see. Another track I did want to touch on was Come With Me,
Yeah.
actually. I read online that it's one of your favorites, one of mine too, when listening.
Oh,
And in the article that I was reading, it was about apologizing to your inner child. Could you please
yeah.
elaborate a little bit on that? And what's the apology for? And what do you mean by leaving? And how has that been? Like, how was the writing process for that?
I think Come With Me was a way for me to self-therapy. It was a way to discuss the fact that sometimes, you brought into this world with the knowledge that usually your family puts onto you, like your education, or the way that you have to behave with the world, or the way you have to protect yourself from other people. And sometimes you realize that you are only carrying the trauma of people around you that educated you. And so it was a way to express that I needed to deprogram a lot of the things from my past to blossom as myself, and then to be able to come back and pick up that kid and say, like, now we're safe. You can come out of your shell. I figured this out for the both of us. And it is something that I've experienced growing up. Like, at some point when I around 18, 19, when I left my mom and moved on by myself, I realized that there were sometimes I was getting in my own way, and I had to unblock all of these things and learn from other people as well, and allow myself to be vulnerable in order to get stronger. And so I've done that for a few years, and then with therapy, I was able to reconnect with some of the things from the past. And so Come With Me was that a way to materialize all of that self-discovery into one song. But I have to say, it was just the hardest one to write, and it was the hardest one to record, because singing to your own self, I mean, just talking about it, I have shivers, but singing to your own self can be very, very tough. And it was definitely a learning experience for me to. I discovered what it meant to write a song and to feel every word. It was definitely when I wrote that one. It was not performing, it was experiencing, and it was intense.
And what was the reaction? What has the reaction been like from the drag community as well? Not even necessarily just your fans that don't pursue drag, but from fellow drag queens as well that have heard that song.
I think people definitely relate to that one a lot, mostly when you are an artist and when you're queer, when you are a drag queen, because it is kind of like a path that we all willingly or unwillingly had to take. But so far from my peers, it's a lot of respect and a lot of appreciation for the craft, and the people just saying, like, you're not doing drag music, you're doing actual pop music. It's not a diss track, it's not a Kakaraki Cash shenanigans and all of the, dictionary words from the drag community. But the girls are actually really appreciating the album, and it's not, even some of them are telling me that they're performing it. So, like, I'm really, really happy, because usually, like, girls can be catty between each other, and this time it's only love and support, and I'm really happy.
And it's really good to see that they're supporting you in that way as well. And performing it as well obviously shows how much they connect with it, which is really
Yeah,
beautiful.
thank you.
Um, Speaking of your new EP and album and everything, do you have any kind of tour planned or any kind of upcoming performances, or what's in the cards for you in that respect?
Right now, I wanted to wait to go on tour with the album, because I've obviously have been very fortunate to build a fan base around who I am as an artist. But I wanted to do my homework and be able to be introduced to a wider audience through my music. And I want to do a tour for the people that are not here because I'm a famous drag queen that has done some TV shows, but because they love the album. I want them to come for the tour because the album is touring, not Nicky Doll. And so I've been waiting for the music and the album to be known, to be appreciated or not, to be digested, to then start thinking about touring. And because I see that this is starting to happen because I'm being played on the radio in France. I'm so happy and fortunate to be played in the UK as well. So now that this is happening, I'm going to slowly start to do a tour. That was a long answer to say yes, I will be touring with that album.
No, but it's interesting though. It's interesting that answer because you're saying about wanting to be known as not just the drag queen from the TV show and known for who you're becoming and who you already are and who you want to show as well.
Yeah, because music is so important to me. I knew that I want to earn the respect from both my peers, but also from my fans, and I want them to see me as someone that makes music first and then think, oh, that's a great track. It just happens to be singing by a drag queen. And not, oh, that's a great drag queen and she's doing a track. And so I'm working really hard to be able to earn that respect. And I think drag queens have not really been focusing on that much. They're really happy to be able to have the good album, but being a drag queen first. I really want to, pay my dues when it comes to music, and that's why it's really important for me to say it.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. And one last question, a bit more of a playful question, and I might be putting you on the spot a little bit here, but let's just
Uh-huh.
imagine that you've got a crowd of people and they're all, listening to your music, and How Do I Look is playing. We have the duck walk, we have the death drop, but if you could make one simple dance move for your crowd to perform and carry out, we have Chaperone doing the HOTCOGO. What would you,
Uh-huh.
if you could make one dance move for How Do I Look for your crowd to play along with and do, what would it be?
Ooh. I think I would start with the smiles that Tara Banks taught us how to do, because it's one of the few things that I've learned from her. And then I would probably, because she's such an icon and I love following her recently, I would probably do the smiles and then a toss toss from like Glinda in Wicked.
Well, like this.
The
Just
little exactly. I love that the camera is following you as you're doing it.
Oh, it's doing that Zoom thing we were talking about, isn't it?
I know. So yeah, we do smiles and a toss toss.
So everyone, make sure that you go and stream Apollo Artemis, go and stream How Do I Look, go and stream Come With Me, go and stream all of Nicky's music because it's really important to get the messages of the songs out there. And they're just really cool tracks. If you're in Heaven nightclub in London, I'm sure you'll hear it. I'm sure that if you're in the Nightingale in Birmingham, you're going to be hearing it. And if you're in the USA or France and you're listening to this right now, who knows? You might be hearing it as well if there's any French or American people watching this interview. Thank you so much for your time, Nicky.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
This has been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.